Hello guys, so I just saw Moana, the live action one that just came out, and my thoughts? Well, let's just say some movies are remembered because of their stories, others are remembered because of the emotion that they evoke from us, the feeling that they communicate to us. The original Moana was one of those Disney films that did both. It wasn't just an adventure across the ocean. It was a story about identity, family, courage, and discovering who you truly are. Add to that the memorable characters, incredible music, and a world that felt alive, and it's easy to understand why it became such a beloved film. So when Disney announced a live-action version of the same thing, a remake, the biggest challenge was never recreating the story. The story is there, right? That is doable. The real challenge was recreating the feeling, the emotion. And unfortunately, I feel that is where this version struggles. The main question that I'll get back to is, why does this version need to exist, right? What is the purpose of this new version? So I'll get back to that. No doubt, visually, the film is beautiful. The landscapes are stunning, the ocean looks incredible, and it's clear that a lot of care went into creating this world. So firstly, the production design, costumes, and visual effects show the amount of effort required to bring this world alive, basically, into this live-action universe. So that effort deserves respect, no doubt about that. I actually sat through the credits, as I always do, not because I was waiting for some post-credit scene, but because I appreciate the people behind the scenes who dedicate years of their lives into making a film, right? I have a channel dedicated to cinema, which, by the way, you should subscribe to, ladies and gentlemen. Please do subscribe to this channel. Anyways, yeah, no matter what my thoughts are on this movie, this level of craftsmanship should always be appreciated. Having said that, the biggest strength of this remake is nostalgia. If you've seen the animated Moana, this live-action version can be fun. Yeah, hearing the songs again, seeing familiar characters, being brought into this new format, and revisiting moments that you already loved before, and to just see it again. But beyond that, there isn't really much new. The film is essentially just a live-action version of the animated original. It doesn't really reinvent the story, explore new ideas, or offer different perspectives. It tries to recreate what the audience has already experienced. My wife could predict what's happening next since she saw the original. Yet, she enjoyed it. And I understand why. Like I said, nostalgia. But that's it. When it comes to live-action versions of animated originals, there is something that must be acknowledged. It might be nice to see a live-action version of an animated original, but is that all we're looking for? You know, the original had a certain magic, right? Firstly, it was our first experience of delving into this world. But the magic wasn't created by one single thing, right? It was the combination of story, the music, the characters, visuals, and the way everything just came together. We were curious to know what we were getting into, right? With this live-action remake, we already know the story. Moana 2026 does a good job recreating the look of the world visually, like I said. But other than that, maybe some films should just remain untouched. Maybe they should stay animated. Animation gave the original Moana a certain energy. It allowed the filmmakers to exaggerate certain emotions, create impossible moments, and make the ocean itself feel alive. The live-action version can recreate those images, right? But capturing the same emotional feeling is a much harder challenge. Sometimes the magic of a movie isn't just the story being told, right? Sometimes it's the way in which the story is told. And that is where this version of Moana, the live version one, kind of struggles. The story itself is still strong, the characters are still there, the journey is still meaningful, but the original had a rhythm and energy that made every moment just feel fresh. The animation wasn't just visual style, it was part of the storytelling. It helped create emotion, the humor, and the sense of wonder. This live-action version recreates many of those moments, but sometimes it feels like it is showing us memories instead of creating something new. Like, it's really driven just by, like I said, nostalgia. Now, I should probably admit something. I've never been a fan of Hollywood musicals. It's not that I dislike music in movies, but musicals have never really been the main reason behind how I connect with film. With that said, the songs in Moana are still enjoyable, right? Especially if you already know them and love them from the original. The performance in this film, they're fine, right? Catherine, whose last name I will not try to pronounce, does a decent job as Moana. She captures the character's determination and the innocence, but this isn't really a performance-driven movie, I guess. She does what the role requires and carries the film well enough, right? Everyone plays their parts well, but they're not really the reason why you're here in the first place. I did get a kick out of Dwayne Johnson, though. The wrestler many of us grew up watching, playing Maui. Somehow it just works, you know. He's fun to watch in a silly way. You know, if you look at The Rock, he's tough in WWE and all that stuff, but then over here is just dancing around, energetic. He's fun, right? His personality, I guess, kind of goes with this sort of film in a weird way. Now, I still wouldn't call this movie a bad movie, right? Because it's not bad. It's not something like, oh my god, why did they make this? Oh my god, that's so stupid, that's so ridiculous, right? It's still a fun movie, theoretically, right? You watch it, you enjoy it, you just go with it, right? Now, it's no cinematic masterpiece. We don't expect it to be a cinematic masterpiece. Obviously, when you have a remake, when you have a live-action version of an animated film, it's natural that you are going to draw comparisons and you're genuinely going to question, what is actually the point? Other than just earning money or just, I don't know, creating a live-action version. I feel the first version will still be remembered because it hits an emotional core, which this film just doesn't really quite do somehow. When a story is already loved by millions, a remake has to answer one important question. I'm going back to the beginning. Why does this version need to exist? Because audiences are not just comparing two movies, right? They're comparing two experiences. The film itself and the memories attached to it. So final thoughts? Moana live-action version 2026 can still be enjoyable, nostalgic, and technically impressive. But for me, it didn't feel like a new adventure. Right? Sometimes the first voyage is the one you remember forever, folks. So that's that. Moana, live-action version. Go for it if you're a fan of Moana. You'll enjoy the graphics, the dancing, but it's just not the original, and original is original, ladies and gentlemen. Now, not to say there aren't any live-action versions of animated films that aren't good. Sometimes they can succeed, right? If they hold on to that emotional core. That's the key. The emotional core. Somehow the first one, the animated one, just had that, man. It just had that. This one, I don't know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe to my channel, Screen and Soul. Till next time, peace out. Bye.